The Volkswagen Caravelle is back, and it's never had more different powertrain options, more interior space, and more ways to configure it. So if you need a shuttle bus or you've just got loads of kids, should you be considering it? Stay watching, I'll help you decide. Welcome to Nobby on Cars. One of the ways you can power this vehicle is now with a 2.5 petrol engine, which is a plug-in hybrid. And the charging port, including some DC charging, is right on the front. The nose very much borrowed from the new Transporter, which is also borrowed from the Ford Transit. So the front still looks VW-ish, but it has definitely changed. This is quite a large vehicle, loads of wheelbase, gap space, and wheelbase from inside the car has also got wider, which means there's more interior space for passengers and luggage. To give you a comparison, there's the standard wheelbase in a Transporter Electric. In many ways, still a vehicle that says, I'm a VW, when you look at it straight on. It's got quite a different look over the rear of the vehicle now, and much brighter and sharper looking LED lights, as you can see on the side of it. Even with the third row of seats up, it's never offered more cargo space. You can spec many more USB and 12-volt charging ports than you get as standard if you wish. Retractable tow bar. Yes, it's a bit slow. Yes, it's a bit noisy, but it does the job. The wheelbase from left to right is also now bigger, so you're getting 130 centimeters across the back. And again, even with that third row up, there's plenty of space for luggage because you're getting up to 3 feet before the boot lip starts. Not to mention the fact that the tailgate will keep you dry in Irish summers. And in the tailgate, you'll find bi-directional lights. That's cool. As you can see, the Caravelle has never been bigger, but is it nicer than previous models inside? Let's take a look. You can get this configured with up to 9 seats, and my God, do the seats have different configurations. So you can tilt these forward, you can remove some of the seats, about 28 kilos per seat. That makes things very easy. It's the same in the new Transporter if you're getting a double cab. Now, these are not standard seats, it has to be said, but the material on them is lovely, and the third row of passengers still get loads of space. This is not like your typical 7-seater vehicle. Lots of air vents throughout the roof, meaning everyone is going to be comfortable, and you get your own individual climate control buttons that you can access in the roof. Not only that, you can even open the windows in the back. You can't even do that in an ID Buzz. And it's easy to do a lot of these maneuvers pretty much with one hand, and the same then to tilt it forward again to help passengers get in and out. And this is useful stuff to know if you're ever in one of these as a taxi, because you'll probably save the driver having to get out and do it for you. Third row people aren't forgotten about when it comes to charging as well. There's 2 USB-C options here. There's some lighting down below here to help you with your footwell, and some storage points also further down here. Pretty simple to open the window, pinch, push open. That's it. To close it, pull it back in. Third row passengers not treated like second-class citizens. They got lots of comforts. Even in the back row, there's 2 ISOFIX seats on the outer 2 seats. And third row passengers get space for bottles too. There's grab handles to help people who are less agile or reduce mobility get in and out of the vehicle. Plenty of comfortable space on the 3 seats. 2 more ISOFIX on the outer 2. And as you can see, loads and loads of leg room in the second row in the new Caravelle. At the back of the driver or passenger seat, you'll get another charging port right down in the footwell. But be careful if you have something plugged into that, because it could be a trip hazard. Preview then of how the interior up front looks. So VW buttons, switchgear, physical buttons on the steering wheel for those that hate haptics and having to do things like that. There are some of the most obvious buttons that you'll be using to get to your shortcuts, including some driver assistance that brings you straight through to some of those settings that you might want to turn on or off when it comes to driving aids. This little shortcut brings you straight back to everything else. This center area, which has your Android Auto and your CarPlay, quite a large screen, a good 360-degree camera to tell you where you're positioning this large vehicle, some drinks holders which can be covered away, and then further down below some more USB-C charging options, 12 volt, and a large shelf area down here that can store lots of things, including a wireless charging plate. Most of the things that you're going to touch feel pretty decent too. And if you need to charge, there's also a 230 volt socket at the side of the driver's seat. If you're going to be using the Caravelle for longer drives, these leather seats might be more comfortable. And there's also front passenger and driver armrests in the center. They're individual and they just lock into place by going down and then snapping up like so. The fact that there's so much legroom up here just gives you an abundance of free space for your knees and for bodies to be able to maneuver around, whether it's from the second row up here, there's huge gap. And actually you can get in to the driver's seat from either side, because even with this large storage area, there's still loads of space and a totally flat floor. So very practical up front here. For storing smaller items, there's a little shelf up above your head and a bit more storage integrated into the dashboard with even more USB-C charging options. If it were me, particularly the Caravelle, I love the idea of the 2.5 petrol there if you need it, and then you've got a really decent range. Like, you're talking certainly 60 plus kilometers from a heavy enough vehicle that's going to carry people. And if you're using it from a hotel to an airport shuttle run perspective, for example, it will do that all day long in pure electric. And then if you need longer runs, you have the petrol engine. That said, if you can do all that stuff, then you could also just go for the full electric version. The payload is up, it's about 1.3 ton, and depending on variant, you'll be able to tow 2.8 ton. So that's quite a lot between inside and towing something as well. And the roof capacity is also increased to 170 kilograms. So if you were to take this thing camping, you can put a heavy enough weight onto the roof. That's up 20 kilos. Efficiency, about 27 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Estimate maybe 220, 250 kilometers out of a charge. But that more than likely will be enough. If this is something that, even though you want to use as a taxi around a city centre, like, you'll get a day's work out of it, or you should do, depending on how long your runs are, obviously. It's just a really nice way to get around, and because it's quiet, it's just a lovely mix. And VW are still providing a diesel engine. It's a little bit firmer because of the extra weight, and it's not something that is going to handle all that particularly well, but it is comfortable. I'd love it to have, if I had more friends, I could fill this up and see what it's like carrying people. But for shorter hops, this would be absolutely perfect. There's no huge levels of wind noise over the front of the windscreen. That is often not the case in vehicles of this size. So it is really quiet. It's also much harder to disguise that kind of stuff in an EV because there's no engine noise masking it. So it's very, very refined for what is a van with seats in it. Put the boot down, not much happens, but it has got enough electric torque to keep you propelling forward, and it's fine. Don't think it's going to be a great vehicle for overtaking on motorways, however. If you're a regular viewer to the channel, you'll probably know that I'm a fan of many different powertrains, fuel sources. I don't believe we're at just one just yet, although I do have an electric car at home. But it feels like this is the powertrain that Caravelle always needed. And I'm really surprised at how well the whole mix works. It just works. So would you prefer one of these over a fancier car-based MPV, something like a Kia EV9 or even an ID Buzz. Do you just get a bit more space in one of these? I think you do. You don't get the same levels of refinement, but if your goal is to truly transport people and have loads of boot space, it's very hard to compete with one of these. There's an infinite list of different combinations that you can spec on your Caravelle, whether it's fully electric, plug-in hybrid, full-on diesel, 8-seater or 9-seater, a combination of so many different packs that will make life easier, but VW get that it needs to be tailored to whatever your business requirement is or your own personal requirement for that matter. One thing that hasn't changed, if you buy one, they give you 5 years roadside assistance, 5 years servicing, and a 5-year warranty, all included as standard. And if you've ever been transferred in one of these, be it a Ford or a VW, you know just how more comfortable they are compared to something like a minibus. So let me know your thoughts on the new Caravelle. Thank you for coming with me this far in the video in beautiful Greece, just outside Athens, and I'll see you on the next one.